Hey Beacon alumni and new friends of Beacon. I'm Rich Little. I was the keynote speaker last year at Beacon, and we're excited for so many of you who have graduated from our first Beacon experience together and who are planning on returning. And in this short series of videos, we want to take some key principles that we looked at when we met last summer and try to see how we're using those in our youth groups and also in our lives. And the first session we spent together focused on spiritual formation. And what we hoped to do in that first session was really give us a deeper understanding of what it means to be formed into the image of Jesus Christ. And spiritual formation gets at our own internal formation to look like the internal life of Jesus, as well as the internal life of our friends. And if we are, as Christian leaders, really being intentionally formed and shaped to look like Jesus, then we're going to help others do the same. And there's two things we talked about when we met that helped us think about spiritual formation. The first was detachment. If we're really going to be spiritual leaders, formed and shaped to look like the character of Christ, then we need to name those things in our lives that we are attaching to that might be pulling us away from Christ. For some of us it might be technology. For others of us it might be a person. We may have hobbies that we spend a lot of time in. And some of those things by themselves can be fine, but some of those things can become gods as well. And for those of us who really want to lead well and be spiritually shaped by the character of Christ, we want to name those things that sometimes we over-attach to and detach from those things. Prayer is another key quality to the life of a spiritual leader, especially as prayer shapes the internal life of Christians and leaders in the kingdom. And when you look at Jesus' model prayer, he basically says three things in the opening statements. He says, when you pray, pray not for your name, but for God's name. Don't pray for your kingdom, but pray for God's kingdom. And don't pray for your will, but for God's will. And if we're going to continue this journey of spiritual formation, we not only want to detach from things that are removing us from Christ, but we also want to be people of prayer, but intentional prayer. Prayer that reconnects us to the name of Christ, to the kingdom of Christ, and to the will of Christ. And that kind of detaching prayer means that we have to separate the inner wants and desires that we might have that might damage our relationship with Jesus, lay them at the foot of the cross, and embrace Jesus' name, His kingdom, and His will. And I think if, as leaders, we continue to strive to do those things between now and when we next meet next year at Beacon the second time, we'll see that our inner lives have been formed and shaped in a much deeper way, and we'll have some stories to share with one another as well. I hope you plan on being there next year. Look forward to seeing you there.